You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. Man, we are here once again, and today we have another amazing show for y'all. We have two people today. We have Scott and Vanessa Martindale, and they have a great book, Blended and Redeemed. It is a book that I think all y'all should read. But before we dive deep into this book and what it's all about, I want to first welcome them both to the show. Say, how y'all doing today?
We're doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having us.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you for your time. So, man, obviously you both put this book together. So let's kind of start out with the story. Give us a little backdrop of what inspired you both to write this book. I'll start with Vanessa and kind of talk to the audience a little bit about the journey of writing this book and putting it together.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we launched our ministry in January of 2020, and we have a step family ministry called Blended Kingdom Families. And after we launched the ministry, we were podcasting, and we started to just started to pray about what content would look like and what writing a book would look like and how we wanted to go about doing that. And we just felt called to meet with as many blended couples as possible. And by that, blended is another term for step family, blended family, step family. And so we set a goal to meet with 100 blended couples, and we met with about 60. And we performed like a survey, and we met with them face to face. A lot of them were Zoom, and did interviews. And we just asked these couples, you know, what they were dealing with in their blended families, what they were struggling with, what was working well for them, you know, was the church supporting them, you know, what resources they were looking for their step families. And we took all of these stories combined with our own story and wrote the book, Blended and Redeemed, the go-to field guide for the modern step family. And that released this past September 2022. And, you know, our hope was that, you know, this book would just be an encouragement and a hope for step families and for people who are going through that blending process. And we also have a hope that it would encourage more churches to support step families within their congregation. And, you know, it has a pastoral guide and a study guide where people can, you know, share it, you know, whether they have like a home group or a class at their church. We have, you know, about 10 groups right now in the United States all over that are doing this inside churches and inside homes. And so, you know, that was really the process, and we absolutely loved it. We loved getting to meet with the families and just learning more about their experiences.
And Scott, with Vanessa's giving us that backdrop of the journey of the book, for you, kind of tell the audience what is the actual blended family story for you and Vanessa, and how you both became just inspired to use this opportunity to inspire others.
Sure. So Vanessa and I have been married almost 10 years. We're coming up on the decade mark. So if you're listening and you know that decade mark is a big mark. And then, so 10 years married, and we have 4 children together. Vanessa was married previously and had 1 boy. And then we got together and had three more sons back to back. So it really has been an incredible journey from day one to now. One, I did not have children, and I was 36 years old when we got married. So learning to be a dad was learning to be a stepdad at that was challenging. But it's really been a remarkable journey, not only of just growing our own family, but growing our own faith and learning how to navigate the challenges of a blended family. And then uniquely, both of us grew up in blended families. So it's just something we've lived our entire life, but we really didn't see the resources that we feel like families need today out there. So that's a big reason why Blended Kingdom Families, this book, and all the work that we do for blended families is so relevant.
And speaking of work, Vanessa, you both are in charge of blendedkingdomfamilies.com. It's a website, and you also have a Facebook page for your community as well.
Yes.
Share with us a little bit more about the blendedkingdomfamilies.com and what that mission is all about.
Yeah. So the mission of Blended Kingdom Families is to, it exists to equip, break the generational cycle of divorce, equip marriages, and unite blended families with the truth of God's word. And our vision is just that every step family and blended family would have a support group, whether that's a community group or a church group. We know as a step family, and especially inside the church, it can feel lonely at times. Having gone through divorce and walking out that experience, it can be a very lonely process. And we just want to be able to provide more step families with community and the resources that they need to do, step family life, blended life, well, and to be able to thrive in that. We hear so many step families that say, man, we're just trying to survive. We're just trying to survive. But, there's just so much more to life and what God calls us to. And so we want to see people, just be as successful as they can and thrive in all of that. And so that's really what the ministry is all about. And we're very big also on equipping the next generation. We're actually about to launch a new program on Valentine's Day here in this next week called Blended Kingdom Teens. We deal with a lot of families that have teenagers who really just don't have an outlet or have a safe place where they can just process, what they're going through, whether that's through a parent's divorce or blending a family. I know growing up when my mom, when we went through that and blending a family, I was a teenager and it was a very confusing time for me. It was very hard. So also providing resources for the next generation where they can just have practical skills and tools to equip them throughout this process.
And once again, we're talking to our special guests, Scott and Vanessa Martindale, and their book, Blended and Redeemed, the go-to field guide for modern step family. And Scott, she kind of mentioned the key word, man, church. Man, that's a point right there to make. How has church play a role in step families? And how do you believe the church should, I would say, accept, but support these families?
That's a great question. And I'm so glad you brought it up. So let me address this from a few different ways. So in Blended and Redeemed, we lay out the priorities of a healthy marriage and priorities of a blended family, which are Christ at the top of your priority level, your marriage, and then your children. So you asked, where does the church play a role in this? It plays the foundational role. It plays the role where when chaos consumes, it's the place where you go to feel peace. It is the place where we go to establish that relationship with Christ. It's the place where we go to establish family traditions. It's the place where we go to find community to support us in those roles. So it plays an absolute pivotal role. Now, I will say, depending on where you are when you're listening to this, broadcast, there are a lot of great churches out there that have tremendous resources. I think, and we are big supporters of pastors and preachers, and they're doing good work. But blended families are starting to make up more and more of our church population, and they do need special support. They do need unique resources to help them thrive. We are battling divorce statistics that are not encouraging to blended families. We know based on those statistics that second marriages fail at a higher rate than first marriages. So we want to start providing resources to combat that. We want to provide resources for blended families to feel that love and support and get those tools they need. And the church is a great place to go get that. That's a lot of the reason why we produce Blended and Redeemed as a support group and as with a study guide and a pastoral guide, is we wanted to give a biblical foundation for how churches could approach this. It never fails to surprise us every time we talk to a pastor and we say, how much of your congregation is blended? And they say, well, we don't really know. And when they poll an audience, it's like half. So they're a lot of times surprised at the need that is there. And so I think more and more churches are recognizing this as a group that they need to support. And I think also, and I don't mean to bring up really bad wounds here, but there are a lot of people who have church wounds from going through a divorce that don't feel like they deserve to step foot in the church. And that's just not true. Jesus loves all of us. He wants to have a relationship with all of us, and the church is a safe place to go. So I think as churches embrace this, more and more people will come back into the church as well.
And also, Vanessa, with these blended families, there are also blended siblings. So what are some words of encouragement that you give to families who have, blended families who have to have the step siblings get along and just feel like they are also part of this family?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember growing up and going through that. When my mom got married, my mom was a single mom for a very long time. And so all of a sudden I had a new stepdad and I had a new stepsister, and I was an only child. And I would just, if anybody's listening and they're struggling with, children, their biological children or stepchildren, creating a bond or having unity there, I would just say, just continue to be prayerful, be patient in that process, be persistent in the pursuit of your children, and just know that it's going to take time. Children, they thrive in environments of fun. That bonding, their experiences, they love to have fun, and they spell love Time. So when you can create that intentional time and create opportunities for new siblings to bond and, share experiences together, whether it's going on family vacations, or we talk about in the book, creating new family traditions, kind of creating a new family culture where your family can have something that's their own, and you can still honor things of the past, but that they have something that's their own, and that the children can relate to. I think finding activities and hobbies that the whole family enjoys doing together. Maybe it's a game night, maybe it's watching movies. But I think as parents, trying to force those relationships to happen, it's going to do more damage than good. And so we just always encourage parents who are struggling there, just be prayerful about their hearts, be prayerful over those relationships, be patient with them as they're, trying to figure this out in their world, and just be persistent, in your pursuit of their relationship, and just, continue to try to just try to support and guide them as they're figuring this out.
We're talking to Scott and Vanessa Martindale and about their book, Blended and Redeemed. To get the book, you can get on Amazon. You can get it, I'm sure, anywhere. But for you, Scott, in the Bible, the word love is mentioned many times, How have you used love and your faith to help guide your family?
Oh my gosh, it has to be the central focus, because if we're relying, well, first, let me just say this: where we define love comes from Jesus. That's our defining characteristic of what is love. And in Colossians 3:14, it says, "And above all these, put on love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony." So that is our compass. That is our north. Because we need that, because blended families, it can be a very stressful process, and you're going to find yourselves in opportunities. And, I'm a stepdad, so I find it very unique to talk to step parents that may have a hard time finding love from their stepchildren, or may have a hard time expressing love. And we have to have a foundation of where that comes from, because every day is going to be challenging. Every day you're going to have victories, you're going to have failures. But when you're guiding your family as the husband, as you're guiding that, that's why we talk about it's so important to have, a home church, and to be able to go in and get that poured into you. You can't give it unless it's given to you. So go get poured into, and keep that as the central focus of your family.
And Vanessa, I know we're playing ping pong in this interview, but serving to Vanessa, this next question: when you hear everything that is being said with Scott and his point, how then are you both using this whole mindset, like teamwork? Because it takes a team for everyone to participate in family. Family isn't like an individual sport; it's a team sport. So, right. What's some of the concepts that y'all try to practice in the home?
Yeah, you have to have a united front, and there's a scripture in the Bible that talks about if you're not united, like you will fall, like your family will fall apart. And so Scott and I, one of the things that, we had to establish in the beginning was just being united and being united in everything. It's united in our finances. It's united in our disciplining of how we discipline our children. It's united in our co-parenting. Because when you're not, I think that just creates opportunity for the enemy to come in and just put a wedge of disunity, which then destroys the peace within the home. It destroys the peace within your marriage and in your blended family. And so, I think staying united in prayer together as a couple, make sure you're praying together, be united together in that, be united in your disciplining the children. These are things that I would highly, highly recommend you talking about before you actually get married and you're in that pre-marriage process. Scott and I, Scott's a licensed therapist and has been for 16 years. And I'm getting my master's in marriage and family therapy right now. And I can't tell you the amount of people that we counsel that don't do that. And then we're seeing them for all of these issues. And so get into pre-marriage counseling, talk about those things, talk about your finances, because you want to be united in every single aspect of your marriage and blended family, because that in itself is going to create just peace, unity, and harmony. And children know, they're sneaky. They know when you're not united, and that's where manipulation can come in on their part. And we see a lot of spouses struggling with their child, my child, and because they're not united, now the children have caused a bridge, so to speak, in between them. And now they're not getting along and their marriage is no longer cohesive. And so I think being united in every aspect of your marriage and blended family it's vital to the health of your blended family.
And Scott, real quick, before we let you both go, you mentioned the green room that there is a event coming soon locally here in Texas and Houston. So all of our listeners in San Antonio can definitely make this event in the future. Tell us a little bit about it and what it's all about.
Yes. So we at Blended Kingdom Families, we partner with an amazing ministry called XO Marriage, and we do XO Marriage conferences all over the United States. But we happen to be doing one in Houston at Grace Church coming up on the 17th of this month. So if you are in the Houston area, and it's great for blended families, but it's amazing for marriages. This is probably the most prolific marriage conference, 2-day conference that you could ever do. So if it's coming up on Valentine's Day, if you're listening to this and you're like, I ain't decided what to get my wife for Valentine's, you look up XO Marriage, Grace Church in Houston, go book a room and do a nice Valentine's weekend. I promise you it'll be the best decision you ever made. Also, if you're a blended family and you're thinking, man, I'd love to have resources poured into just our family, Blended Kingdom Families, we host the Blended Couples Conference. And that will be actually in September at Fellowship Church in Grapevine, Texas. That's on September 30th. So if you're looking for resources, just know that, hey, there are things out there that you can go and people will pour into your marriage, pour into your family, and provide an amazing resource for your blended family. So those 2 dates are February 17th in Houston, September 30th in Grapevine, Texas. And you can find out more information on our website at blendedkingdomfamilies.com.
Yes.
That's perfect. Well, I would definitely get some more information if I can from you guys and put in the show notes so people, because you know how people are, they like to click on things. So we'll have it easy for them to read up more on information. And man, once again, talking to Scott and Vanessa Martindale, you can get their book, Blended and Redeemed, the go-to field guide for the Martyr and Steph family. I want to say thank you to you both taking time in your schedule talking to I Am Refocused Radio.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much.